What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, club swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. We got Albert Naus. Good morning to you. Good morning to Andrew and Bill, Daniel. We got Edward Naus. Good morning to you. Good morning to Jared, Jeff, Lauren, Marius, Sabine, all my people out in YouTube land. Oh, even wow. Okay, now I'm just moving my screens around. Yeah, all my people out in YouTube land. Good morning to all you guys, all my lurkers in the background. Not gonna say nothing all day. It's okay. I still love you. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Let me know if you guys did anything fun, anything exciting. Bill got some tickers coming in. We had a pretty crazy rally on Friday that just did not want to pull back. So we were good enough to get into a trade early, but there was not much more opportunity unless you were looking to just chase stocks on Friday to really get in. The question, though, uh, and a lot of times, especially for you newer guys, you'll get those retests where it's retest and then quickly fades. But retests don't have to fade right away. Like it can still hang out pretty strong. Essentially, we did stay strong-ish. We finally did pull back a little bit at the very end of the day, but I have a spot right around roughly about 672.50, we'll call it. That was the Thursday VPOC. So that's really the spot. If we were actually going to close strong, that was the spot we wanted to stay above it. Maybe today. We'll see. Maybe today opens and closes, and we're celebrating back above that upward trend line. Otherwise, for today, we have a double bottom longer term from Friday as well. So definitely want to stay above 664.50. That would be my target for today. Although we've been there now twice, and if we get back down there again, maybe a little bit more pressure, and that would probably take us back to the 660.49 zone. So we'll see what happens on that. Otherwise, yeah, a lot of room to the downside. To the higher side, from November 6th, we're going to have a little bit of resistance. We got to climb back through 671.31, 672.51, and then Friday's VPOC 673.04. Maybe a little chop. I'm not sure what this market wants to do. I think we have a little bit more room to the downside though, than to the higher side. I think we get hit with a lot more resistance. It doesn't mean we can't come down first a little bit more. I'm thinking maybe we hit like the 50% retracement unless we just flush. This is all being if the market doesn't open and just rally. We were doing pretty good for futures last night. Futures were up. Problem is we just gave it all right back. So nothing's really holding quite yet, and I think we're kind of in this iffy spot where is this actually bull stepping in? Is this shorts taking some gains at a really good location and just kind of retesting? So I think the trend is still down. I think we have better risk reward to the downside. We'll see how this market actually wants to open though, and see if we can start breaking through some of those resistance. And if so, we'll just continue the long trend. If we could get above 673.04, that starts to open the door to a little bit of a bigger move, and that would say that this is a little bit more double bottomish as opposed to just some kind of retest. What I do like is yesterday's VPOC was higher than Thursday's, so you have a little bit of a trend up a little bit starting. We got to continue that today, so we got to get a close really above. I think we'll call it 673. See if we get higher than that. Check out the Qs. Speaking of Qs, we got Nvidia earnings this Wednesday as well, so entire market's probably going to be on a little bit of a wait and see type situation. Lauren says, I must have been sleeping. When did ALB become the strongest stock in the world? Yeah, the only one gapping up that I saw today was, and there's, I saw Google too. Google was gapping up thanks to some Berkshire Hathaway buying. But yeah, it was Google and ALB. And I was like, I'll be in the same, ALB could be in the same conversation as Google. I'll take it. I don't get it, but I'll take it. It was not like that earlier, but it's coming back. We got Q's, kind of the same. Not really much difference. Again, all of that was a retest gap. We did close high. The only thing I'd give a little bit more credit for, well, number one, we do have the VPOC higher, so you still got that little trend. I want to try to break for today, see if we get a close above 609, 609.84, we'll call it. Otherwise, you got your first resistance for today, 608.41. So if we do get bought up pretty quickly, watch that for the resistance. Does not give you that much room unless you automatically think somehow that you're going to break that prior VPOC. But that would be my next target. So two levels of resistance. If we start to break through again, that's going to kind of open the doors. for a little bit of a more sustainable rally. That would take us into 611.88. Good news is we were there on Friday. We just didn't hold, but we've already retested that entire zone. The next spot for a better retest takes us up to 617.81. So we'll see what happens on that. To the downside, which just looking at a day trade perspective, I think to the downside, again, a little bit more room to the downside than to the higher side. You get 603.70. That would be a retest, and then we'll see if we kind of bounce on out. So we'll see what the market wants to do. I'm kind of just on the fence with the whole thing. Uh, I'm not sure if that was the beginning of just the Bulls save the day again, or to me, it still kind of looks a little bit more like it was just all one big retest, and we'll see what happens from there. BTC USD. Bitcoin is under that 95 zone, so not great. Again, the indicator's almost done. I'm working on still final touches, but it is getting close. But I don't have really the demand zone until about 81, 285, all the way down to like 74, 424. So that's still 13, $14,000 to the downside. We are starting to break through a lot of this decent, good volume. Again, that 95 zone is where we want to get back above to say we're never even going to touch this. But to me, for the moment, it looks like that support's not holding. If we get more bears kind of piling in, I've been watching for that, like we said, 81 to 75, something like that. Somewhere in that zone. So a little bit more ways to go to the downside. It does not look like Bitcoin right now is trying to hold that first key support and looks a little bit weak still for today. Let's zoom in a little bit more. We are also below Friday's VPOC, not a great sign. And then in terms of like all the Momo names and things, they're like the Oklos in the world and all that stuff that just rampage with momentum, they're all down a lot. But they're all momentum names. They're all risk on assets, and Bitcoin is the master of risk on assets. So I think almost if we want those names to bottom, I think we kind of need Bitcoin at least to start getting into that by the into that little demand zone we got below it. So we'll see what happens on that one. GLD. Again, gap down. It did retest on Friday, just not as impressive as the rest of the retest. Still holding good support, so nice little breakout. That did hold. Pretty much came down to a perfect retest spot, 370.81. Got the bounce. For today, it has probably a little room higher. It's trying to hold a 20 EMA. I would look for some kind of resistance, 376.56, and then next spot about 378. So we'll see if that goes a little bit higher. We do have a gap to fill, 386.02 to the higher side, but for right now, I think it's just kind of black type day. We'll try SLV instead of SLB. How about that? Silver also had that gap down on Friday. It was a retrace like the rest of the market. Didn't really get into anywhere impressive for any type of support. Not even sure why we bounced there. I see one VPOC, I guess, from all the way back in October 10th. So we got down there. We used that as a little support. Okay, we did close that VPOC a little bit higher than that last previous one, which was November 11th. So a little bit of a sign of some bullishness, but the price closed below it. So we got to get back above 46.29. And then I think that sets us up for an eventual gap fill with tons of resistance prior to it. So silver kind of just chopping, I think, for today. Nothing too impressive. Let's see. We got Palantir was the first one on the list. PLTR. At least the good news, it did run into that first buy zone. Let me add one more thing back on. I want to see how strong that buy zone is. 3.61. It's okay. It's not the best in the world, but it's something. That resistance though is at 18.98. That's tough. That one's a tough one. But we are in a little bit of a buy zone. Gap down just like the rest of the market. I have probably somewhere around this 169.90 takes us right to the top of that, probably a little lower, 169.70. So we'll see if this one fades a little bit further. Other than that, you are well below all previous VPOCs, 172.67. Let's see if there's volume on the side. That's an issue. That's gonna be tough. Yeah, I would say you have a lot more resistance than you do support. And the next spot takes us down into this zone, which essentially takes us into 157.59, and we are inside of another kind of buy zone at that point, but still 3.44. All of that is not strong on demand, but there is some a little bit lower. So $20 lower from here potentially. On a longer term basis, it looks a little tough. So we'll see if the Bulls can establish themselves outside of the zone and start pushing from here. But you're in a little buy zone. It's just not incredibly strong, and we'll see. We got Iran. Iran's another one where, like I said, if Bitcoin could bottom first and Bitcoin could come into that 80 zone, maybe some of these are names that just had incredible. I mean, the returns on Iran has been nutty. I don't know how else. I don't know what other English words I could use to describe some of these names that have just kind of ran up like crazy. So hanging in there for today. It is a gap down. You were right at that, essentially the opening price from Friday. Friday did dip before it got bought up. I don't know that today is going to be the same. It does look exactly like how a retest gap should work, where you had that retest and then you kind of got pretty strong rejection from 49, roughly 49.80, we'll call it 49.90. So right around that zone, any of those bulls that played it at open took their gains. Any shorts kind of piled back in, and I think we come a little bit lower. You have one little support, so I would say watch 45.58. I think your targets for the downside for today could get you into about 41.90, and that's still a little bit far away from that 100 EMA as well. So still got some room to the downside. I don't have anything on this one until $19.78. Actually, a massive drop. Let's see if there's volume. You start to put that higher volume above you. That's going to act as a little resistance. You got a couple levels, 36.88. You got 27.88. Both of those are okay zones, and then you start getting into like this again, 17.89, something like that. So I think it's got a lot of room to the downside. All of these things, retail investors could come in and start buying it up. So just watch it. But to me, it looks like we're still kind of just selling the rip on a lot of names. Hood, hood. Uh, Demand zone is lower. That's a decent one, 5.19. That's somewhere around 108.83. Looks like a picture perfect textbook retest gap from Friday, from Thursday into Friday. So that buy up makes sense. You did hold a little bit of support. So watch for like 115.38 for today to the downside. You're opening with a resistance right above you. That's going to be 120.82. If we get above that, I don't know how much further we go, 121.56. If we want to retest yesterday's VPOC, get back up to like 125.88, but it looks like probably I'd stick to the short side. This looks still like a retest. We are above that 100. I don't know if there's much buying coming in quite yet on Hood as well. So we'll see. Let's see. I got a couple of the names. BMNR, WDC. I haven't looked at BMNR. Right at the demand zone. So Friday was a perfect bounce off of it. Kind of retesting it for now. This is a good one. 10.36 is exactly what you want to see. So it's doing what it can to try to stay above it. That initial bounce is good. I don't see any other spots until like 32.84 for some kind of next support. So that is a little bit lower. For today's gap down is still inside day. I would look for today for some kind of resistance. This one probably, I don't know if we open and drop first. I don't know what the first initial reaction from the market's going to be, but I think we do come up at some point, retest that 34.40. That would be my target to the long. If we could start snaking above it, that would take us into probably about 36.85. But that being said, that move higher on BMNR, the early move higher, and then it kind of didn't really do too much. That's still the retest. We are just bouncing off the top of that zone. We bounced perfectly off of it so far, and we'll see if we can stay above it. But kind of want to stay above 32.87. Technically, the buy zone is all the way back down into like this $30, 31 cent mark. So anything in that range, I think we'll see if we could get some sideways consolidation and then eventually break out for BMNR. Obviously, for this one, we're going to need Ethereum to start running. So we'll see. WDC, WDC, Western Digital Corporation. Gap down below some key support. So I don't know. I mean, in this market so far, none of the rally really is kind of holding from unless it's ALB or Google. That's the two again. WDC gap down. You got a little bit of resistance at 157.42. So we'll see if we get bought up at open. If that's the initial reaction, I'd be looking to go probably short there. Otherwise, you got support coming in around 153.64. We were below it. We got above it. We'll see if that could act as support. If not, your next spot to the downside, 150.07. And then you do have a gap fill at 141.32. Demand is well under 120. It's not that stronger one. Your bigger one is actually down to $74, but we'll see if that initial bounce spot holds for it. It has been making higher highs, higher lows. Also, I mean, just absolutely phenomenal move if you were I I don't even know. I was gonna say early investor, but that would be like April. Usually when people say like early investor, that means you got in Amazon at like in 1996. This one was like 6 months ago. So wild moves. Some of it has to give it back. Docs is the next one. Yeah, Dell with a little bit of a double downgrade today. Doximity. Mm, uh, we don't really have any support below us. So we do have some support on a demand purpose. That's under one. Most of that is kind of theta driven, just because we haven't been down there in a while, and then it starts to lose any kind of luster if it gets down there. Other than that, this is. I don't know. I don't know too much about this company personally. Yeah, you got some bigger, still bigger demand zones, closer to like 27. The other thing on this one that kind of worries me in a long, I'm just talking longer term sense. That was the last kind of support that kind of held. We're already not. We're still technically in it, but you got to fight through that probably $50 mark, I would assume. Next level to the downside, and that's a small volume zone. It's going to take us to about 43.33. Then you got about 35.76. And then you do have your next actual volume that might mean something that's going to come around 28.04. So we'll see. It looks rough. I kind of like it still short. Let me zoom in a little bit. I think Friday was more or less a retest gap. For today, it does look a little bit different than the rest of the market. I'm not sure if that holds. You got your first resistance is at 49.97. If you get above it, again, I don't know if it's an easy journey, but at least I can see the risk reward being there. Next target probably takes you to about 51.25 for docs for today, if that gap up holds. Let's see, we got HD. Take this thing off the screen. Perfect. All right. Home Depot. 358.91 would be the high end. So you're getting kind of close. You're not quite there yet. They bounced a little too soon on Friday, so we'll see if we come a little bit lower. If they get which is inside day, probably gets the retest first, I would think. First spot I would see if like 362.53 to the higher side, and then 363.13. Otherwise, I think you still have a little bit more room to the downside. Not an impressive open. For me to get more bullish on this one, I'd say it has to open above 366.23. So that's not the case. I think any rips on Home Depot probably continue to get sold until we get a little bit deeper into this green zone. 4.39, 4.39, not a bad demand. Other than that, 357.46. A lot of these that kind of broke off of their supply zones. So you had a 14 in a supply zone. That's monster. That is strong. Uh, that would have been your setup, and that would have been about a 5.2 R into the downside. You're almost in that target. So if people have been playing it to the downside, they're getting a little close to some of those spots where I wouldn't comfortably be holding to the short side anymore. You got Dell. So yeah, we made a good trade on this one. This one kind of scares me a little bit at open for today. I don't think I'd be playing the same way as I did on Friday. You have what should have been support on this one, 126.64. That really did not hold because of the double downgrade. I think they're saying they're worried about, I think it was financing and some of the costs of like chips and storage and stuff like that. I don't know. They're a monster company. I'm not sure how it pays into it, and the expenses, which is really going to like companies like MU, those, which is MU has been just on an absolute killer tear as of late. But Dell coming down below that support. We'll see if we get bought up. Um, it's kind of a gap and go, but it's not because yesterday or Friday was just really a retest gap. So let's see if you get a little bit of a bid. I'd watch to see 126.67. If we start rejecting that as what should have been a support zone, I don't have the next one until like 110. So a little bit further of a pullback before you even get down there. Big zone that should look to hold 113.36 intraday for today. And I'd probably be looking to go short on this one rather than long for today. But watch to see if this thing comes up to, I guess, first resistance is 125.42. You got a little support at 124.41, so we'll see if that holds. If that does not hold, then you're looking at like 122.79. Possibly we hit 120.34 if this market looks like it's going to get a little bit uglier for today. But yep, not a great spot where that demand zone is now. Anybody that is buying in that spot is kind of trapped a little bit. I like it more bearish than bullish for today. Apple. Apple is pretty high up there, still holding its ground. We've seen this before where if the market goes down, Apple continues to just kind of hang out. It's a little bit more of a safer play than some of these non-revenue companies. For today, watch for, it looks like we're slightly under what should be some support. I don't know if we have a massive drop on Apple today. It doesn't seem like it. Seems like we're kind of just in chop zone. But watch 269.35. So if we could get it back above it, I would expect more chop. I don't think I'd be playing it bullish, but I would expect more chop. Scary part on this one, and it wasn't crazy volume, but that candle from November 11th, this gap is the first time we've actually had a look underneath it. So any bulls that took the breakout, hung in there, looking for all-time highs, I think you're trapped. I think I'd probably play this one a little bit more bearish than bullish. Your next support though takes you to like 267.51. After that one, you have another rather good resistance at 265.91 or support. So we'll see if that kind of plays in. I'd probably be leaning a little bit more bearish on that open, trapping that November 11th candle. Kind of like it more to the downside. We got iBit. iBit is looking like I quit. See what I did there? Yeah, that looks kind of rough. You do have a little bit of level of support. I mean, this support's coming back from, I don't know, 53.15. This is on April 24th. Just like the rest of the crypto market, Bitcoin goes down. All these names tethered to it seem to want to drop, which kind of makes sense. That was a good textbook retest. That one did fade, closed a little bit lower on the day. We're not really doing anything special at open, but I think you probably get continuation to the downside on this one. Longer term sense, I got somewhere around 46.24. So more probable continued pressure to the downside on this one. Let's see, we got Lily. Lily, which is recently at least had a pretty fantastic run. They're gapping down a little bit. You had some volume, kind of last couple days, more volume than the last 2 days. Really, not that much volume. So I don't think we're trapping too many bulls up here. But you might have some of those prior very bullish days, maybe with a little concern on this gap. I don't like the opening price. See if this one gets bought up at open. See if this runs to like 10, 13, 74. If not, target at least to the downside. I think your first one, 989.57. Longer term basis, uh, I'd probably be looking some match this VPOC right here. So somewhere around 942.34. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of buying, and I can't be a buyer up here. If a bigger dip comes in, maybe really good demand zone that takes us into like $800. So that's a little bit of a ways away. But healthcare has been looking decent lately, at least trying to. Same thing with Pfizer. Baba, gap and go for today, but also just kind of opening into resistance. At least we've been through this one on Friday, so we hit pretty much all of the latest resistance. Again, I'm not into, I think I got 120 on my list, just under 120 for your actual next demand zone, which is a 13. It's very, very strong if it gets down there. Otherwise, we're trying to stay above that 100, it looks like. Longer term sense looks a little bit different than the rest of the market. We'll see. I'm not sure if this gap really holds too well. Next resistance, and again, we've been through it, so maybe a little weaker if you want to try something bullish. 160.15 though would be your next target, and then if you get above it, the one after that, 162.56. If you get above it, monster resistance at 165.88. So gap and go for today, still inside day. I'd probably expect the fade first. Maybe one that you might want to look to buy a dip on, but that dip would be as close as possible to like 153.21. Probably stops low of the day, and see if you get a bounce at some point on Baba. But gap up looks different. We'll say that Google, yeah, they got the Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett just put in his resignation letter to himself, I guess. I don't know who you would submit. HR does who at HR takes Warren Buffett's resignation letter? I don't know. But other than that, Google, Berkshire came out. They said they've been buying it. Seems a little suspect on Warren Buffett's part. I don't know if he's the one that pulled the trigger on it. But regardless, you got anything tied to Buffett comes out, they bought, and the market's reacting. You did have some, I think, maybe buying on Friday. Again, this is where the retest get tough. Was there really excitement on trying to get into Google very close to all-time highs, or more or less 2 days in a row of selling, and that was shorts kind of covering at a an okay support spot. So I kind of take it as the latter, which means we're not really trapping too many bulls. Good news on Google though for today. For bulls, stay above 285.02. Next target to the higher side, 290.67. So we'll see which one we want to kind of hit first. But that is the morning bell. Frank says that was all Buffett. I don't know. That seems out of character for Buffett. Everybody on YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. You